Hello YouTube viewers, welcome to my channel S2T. In today's show, Computer Wednesday, we're going to talk about top 5 uses for an old Android phone. So let's dive right into it. Now first, the most successful use of an old mobile phone is a remote control, because I can guarantee it that most of you have a television, most of you have a sound system or a set-top box or a streaming box, and on and on and on and on and on. So reality is there is a very good chance you have more than one device that uses infrared system. So utilizing that gives you a very cool advantage, because universal remote are amazing but they are very expensive, and if you have an old smartphone that is gathering dust, using that smartphone as a universal remote is much better. On top of that, especially many smart TVs that are specifically made after 2015 and 18, they generally have inbuilt Wi-Fi systems which will allow you to directly use your mobile phone. You don't even have to go through infrared. So that's the easiest system, and the benefit of that is generally your touchscreen is but better than clunky remotes. So that's one thing. On top of that, some Arduino, I'm saying, Android phones have infra IR blaster built into that. However, that's not prevalent. But if you are the lucky ones who have old mobile phone which has IR remote, you can just utilize it directly as a basically remote system. And generally, company's inbuilt app would be much better at, like, it will simply tell you select the company, like, Samsung, Hitachi, or whatever air condition you have, select that and it will do the work for you. So that's amazing. But let's say you are in a scenario where most likely your Android mobile phone does not have a IR blaster. What can you do? Well, if you are handy with a soldering iron or bit of stuff, you can build yourself an IR remote using basically 3.5 millimeter jack and this two LED bulbs. Now these LEDs are IR LEDs. These are generally cost you, well, like 5 cents. So quite cheap solution. But let's say you are not comfortable with doing this sort of thing, or it's just not available, because more and more people are going into replacement territory rather than repairing territory. So shops that used to hold this, they are no longer there, and heck, Radio Shack is disappearing. So let's say you can't go to a place where you can just buy that. You can buy pre-built, properly tested and all that jazz from Amazon and eBay and all that jazz. So you don't even have to build it, you can just buy it. It's quite cheap, $1 $2 maximum. And let's say you are really unlucky and your mobile phone does not have a headphone jack, do not worry, you can still do this utilizing basically USB based infrared system. Now these two are the second best solution would be, like, your mobile phone itself having that. But if it does not have, these two options are there, and once you plunk this on, you do realize your phone will become clunky and all that just. So people generally use this only as a dedicated system. Like, do not expect you're gonna use a mobile phone as this and that. No, this will become your universal remote. That's it. So that can be done. Now you have to understand this, because of the IR protocol is not standardized. You will find some apps that works flawlessly, amazingly well with your TV, but cannot even start your set-top box. Other times you will have scenarios invert of that. Your set-top box works perfectly and your TV does not work. So you have to do some experimentation. Do not expect, like, okay, one app to rule them out. There is no such thing. And heck, the biggest headache with using the USB system is simply because how the heck you gonna charge your mobile phone. So that's the issue. That's why I prefer the headphone one, and it's the cheaper one. So that's the first practical use, because it will make your life easier, simply because there is a very good chance you may also have air conditions in your home which will require remote. So remote control is a really good use of an old Android phone. Then we come to the webcam. Now this is one of the first thing you will realize about streaming and webcams and all that jazz. Webcams suck. Their quality is literally stuck in 2010. That's it. Like, not even 2010, 2005. For some reason, every webcam that is made after a certain point has never improved, like flat out. And laptop webcams are just hideous. It's like, what the hell, man? This is like 2020 we are talking about. We have amazing mobile phone cameras, and I'm talking front webcams. Let not even go into primary cameras. Front facing cameras are much better than what you can get in your very expensive Logitech cameras. It's like mind-bogglingly bad. And like, that's why many streamers are simply like, dude, I'm just gonna use a micro four third camera or a DSLR as a webcam, because webcams suck. They're like, for some reason, no Chinese manufacturer or even Logitech is like, hey, let's use the chips that are made for mobile phones directly, because those are mass produced and cheaper. They're like stuck with some 1960s technology. It's frustrating. So I can guarantee it, like, any webcam that you have in your mobile phone, basically in your laptop or desktop, your old Android phone will beat it. guarantee it. And I'm reasonably sure it's a front facing one may not be as good, but the rear facing even in old ones would be amazing. So how do you use that? Again, if you really want to do that as a webcam, like this phone will become a webcam for you, I would urge you to find an application that allows USB tethering. There is two benefits to that. First, it will make sure your phone does not run out of a charge mid streaming. On top of that, it does reduces what we call drop framing. So screen basically frame tearing will happen very little, like it will not happen at all if you are doing through USB. But because Android phones are not built as a webcam, so the USB pipeline is not very smooth, so to say. So some mobile phone, it will work in one go, other mobile phone unable to connect will happen. However, Wi-Fi, it's a completely other ball game. So many people are using mobile phones as baby monitors, as security cams, or all they are doing is basically using IP webcams. Now IP webcam is a time tested architecture. It does not have any issues, it's not built for that. It's designed to stream content, so that works flawlessly. Now there are many free application and paid application. Please test multiple application. Do not test just one application, because you will find, hey, this application does not do 60 frames per second. This application does not do full HD. It only does 720p. So there are many limitations even in free ones. So please test multiple application. It's quite easy to do. It's tedious but easy to do. You have to just download a client software in your mobile phone and main hub control software in your PC, and you can utilize it with OBS and all that other jazz. So webcam use is quite good. Now what about security cam? I do not recommend it, simply because if you have a security cam as a mobile phone, there is a very good chance people might steal your security camera, because it's a mobile phone fully working. So I do not recommend that. Now Stream Deck. Now this is what my 4-year-old Android phone is being used as right now. Like this is one thing I'm actually doing right now. Stream Deck. Now Stream Decks are very successful. Elgato brought that out into public in around 3 years ago, and it blew up. Like it became very successful. And so following that success of that, there are many companies that try to capitalize on that. There are many applications for that. None of them come even close to this one guy's application, which is Macro Deck. And this guy has to be a level 9 genius. I'm like, amazing. This is one guy, he made this application. It's free, 100%. You can donate to this guy, but this is free application, and it allows you to do things that you would not have even thought possible. Basically, grid setting. The biggest hurdle with let's say Stream Deck, you buy 15 buttons. What if it's too much for you? You can buy a smaller one, but again, the smaller one is too expensive. It's not like you can't price per button is not that good. So in this, you can let's say you only need 10 buttons. You can make 10 buttons. Let's say in my case, I need like much more buttons, like 35 buttons and all that jazz. You can change the grid size. So it's quite amazing. The amount of things you can do is mind-boggling, and you can even have that folder inside a folder inside a folder. So it's amazingly good. In this scenario, I can simply say just get Micro Deck and make sure it works. And it also supports USB tethering. So if you have a good USB cable, you can utilize USB system, and you do not have to it will allow you to disable every radio in your mobile phone, basically put in airport mode. So battery will last longer during when you shut down your computer, the battery will not drain as much. So it's quite amazing. I'm like, people have finally started to realize the potential of this. People have 3D printed case, and some people have made cardboard cutouts where you can have buttons are isolated. So it's quite amazing. And what can you do with this? Well, again, it's a productivity booster. In my case, I'm a YouTuber, so I have to reply to a lot of comments. So many of my top replies like thank you, or I will look into that, or some things of like that nature, I have as text replies. So I just press one button to reply all of them. So instead of typing a whole command every time, it's a macro system, so it really boosts my productivity. On top of that, I have like multiple folders dedicated to computer Wednesday, camera Tuesday, and things of that nature. I have 5 of those dedicated, so I don't even have to go into my computer and find that. Just click that, done. So it's a really good functional use of that. I'm utilizing this. So this is something I can totally get behind. Like, it's a very good use of your own mobile phone, and especially if you have 4 or 5 years old mobile phone, good luck selling that. Nobody will buy it at any reasonable price. So you compare to Elgato's original price versus this, free. Now we come to the retro gaming aspect. Now retro gaming may not be that attractive to you, but I would urge you to give it a chance. Since I am a 3D game artist and I have worked into AAA titles, I can give you, there is something unique to old SNES game titles and NES game titles, simply because they were built in a simpler times. And you can easily see this with youngsters. It's like youngsters, I'm saying I'm not that old. So you can easily see that whenever you are playing online, let's say Fortnite or PUBG, it's like people get very violent, and sometimes you want to play a game, you want to relax, but you really don't want to get into that violent scenario. So those time retro gaming is a very good thing. Now retro gamings are not that energy intensive, so it can be done on your old mobile phones quite easily. However, good emulators generally require you to root your phone, so that is why it's not recommended to do in your primary phone, no matter how powerful it is. It's good to do it in your old phones and buy a controller, because these games are designed for controller system. Yeah, lag will not be as amazing as like old TV as actual SNES, but it's more than good enough, and you're gonna have fun. You're gonna be like, because there is like 30 years of games that you can play on these things, so it's quite amazing. The game libraries are huge, and there are some controllers that are like controllers, I'm saying, some basically emulators that are paid, and those are amazing because like you can have a fault and they will try to correct it for you. So retro gaming is like a different kind of set, and I can guarantee you, if you have a setup that is dedicatedly built for that, and you disabled everything else, like basically put in your battery life would be huge. You can enjoy this, and it will not give you that like violent things when you lose in PUBG and all that. So it's a very unique thing. I can guarantee you, like, you will find it unique, so to say. Now another, so the final fifth one, experiment. Now the Android phone looks like a mobile phone, but it's a full-fledged mini computer. And if you're going like back ago, like my first computer, it barely had like 4 GB of RAM. My current mobile phone has that much. So if you really think about it, your mobile phone right now, especially if it's like only 2 years old or 3 years old, it's more powerful than many PCs few years ago. So the reality is, you don't have a mobile phone in your basically palm, you basically have a mini computer. So you can even try to install Linux into that. Like there are ways to do Linux, which is a kernel that is running parallel to your main system, so it does not get the full computational power, but it's a full-fledged desktop. You can like install application, like do things like a proper things you can do with your system. It's quite amazing. And sometimes you can go into XDA form and actually find how to root the damn thing and like get full Linux operating system. Be mindful that will generally do in your camera application. It will work, the application will work, but it will not have, because every company like Samsung, OnePlus, or Sony and all that, they have 100 layers of computational photography. Those are proprietary things. You can't expect that to like, oh, you have the hardware, you can use it. No, that's proprietary. So but again, if it's an old phone and you are not utilizing that as a primary system, you can experiment with that and you can learn things. So that is the most amazing part. It's an old device, it's not growing in the value. It's not like gold, oh, I kept it and like 10 years later it will be more valuable. No, it's going down in value, and after a few while the battery will degrade so much that it will literally not charge up. So you have a very small amount of time where you can pre-cycle it before you send it to final recycling. It utilize it, experiment with it, like go YOLO on it, simply because again, it's not primary. If it breaks, no problem, you just send it to recycling. So that's the reality of it. It's like you have to get out of your comfort zone. And I can understand that if somebody says, hey, I don't want to tamper with my primary phone, my bankings is in there, like this is my phone where every OTP comes in. I get that. That is right, do this on your old phone, and it will allow you to get out and explore things. Like remote control, yeah, that's a good use of very expensive phone. Stream Deck, I'm utilizing it, I rely on that. Like if that Stream Deck dies, it will be very frustrating for me. So there are uses of that will help you, but the final thing is experiment. Same way I experimented with like at least 3-4 applications before I realized that magic piece. Experiment, get out of your comfort zone, like experiment with till death with your mobile phone, because it's gonna die sooner or later. You have to utilize it before that. So that was my final appeal to you. Just experiment. Like you will find people doing amazing things. Like somebody is directly connecting Arduino to basically Android phone and utilizing this as a weather station. Why? Because this has an inbuilt GPS system. It has an inbuilt other systems, including the ability to transmit data over SMS, which is cheaper than transmitting data over Wi-Fi. So you can do amazing amounts of things. So experiment. Just go out there, like type anything. Like if you can think it can be done with a mobile phone, I can guarantee it can be done. So this was my presentation on top 5 things that can be done with Android phone, and I urge you to please experiment with it. It's like it's gonna die, it's gonna turn into e-waste sooner or later, so might as well extract the most out of it. So I hope you like this. In that scenario, please click the like button, share it amongst your friends. That will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I'd urge you to press dislike, press it twice to show me your disappointment, and please leave a comment because I try to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free, and as always, thanks for watching.